like going in-house, you get more flexible timing, 9 to 5. That is wrong.
I agree.
That is wrong. That's not true.
You will let me introduce you to Michael, right?
Hi, Michael.
He heads and looks after, privacy for SHEIN, right? And Michael be introduced to Lyn, of course.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Michael. So I take care of privacy in SHEIN. I take care of the APAC region. So for privacy, it's very wide. Mainly, I'm a legal practitioner. So I look at the legal aspects of privacy. Mostly, I give consultation, legal advice to support the business team.
And good point you brought up, Michael, because he mentioned that he was based off legal in that sense. Right? Whereas in the last couple of years, since data privacy law came into force in Singapore, we see a lot of legal practitioners pivoting over to privacy, right? So in the in-house space, how do you all make this distinction between the privacy folks versus the legal folks, or are they fused into one?
Actually, under OCBC Bank, our privacy team is actually sitting on legal. So we actually do have a team of privacy lawyers sitting in Singapore. That's our headquarters. And we do have designated privacy lawyers in, say, Malaysia, China, and Hong Kong.
Are they usually legally trained for the privacy team?
Generally they are, but we do have a couple in the privacy team who are, say, a little bit more compliance focused. They can have an audit background, for example. In the data privacy space, is so wide-ranging, the different issues that you encounter. Some legal, some compliance. There's a lot of overlap.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, many of you all don't know, but I was in an in-house position for 3 years.
Since when?
Almost 2 decades ago, 2004.
Did you know that, Michael?
Yeah. So I mean, in-house practice, I think there are differences between 20 years ago versus now. But I think the burning question for me as a private practitioner for so many years now is, what keeps you going in your organization? I would like to hear what really keeps you guys going.
So Steve, I think that I count myself really lucky. I do enjoy my work. And because so many issues that come past my desk, and it makes the entire day really interesting for me. So I really do enjoy the intersection between law, banking, and people. Because at the end of the day, all of us know as lawyers, actually, it is a lot about people issues and how you then regulate the people issues as well.
So also as for me, I used to be a general counsel, so I just do everything like what Lim was doing. So, but then I pivot to data privacy because it's really something that I'm really very interested in. I can call that is really my passion because you see, personal data is all around us. Everything that we do, even like right now we are sitting here, the camera, taking our image, that is personal data. It's very applicable to our day-to-day life. And there's the thing about data privacy is that the law is moving really, really fast, especially in our region in APAC. So there's really a lot to learn. Then the other thing is technology. As we all know that we are in the technology era, technology is running at full speed. And then you add on AI to it. So there's so many things to learn. So I think that's the thing that makes me really keep on running, that there's so much to learn. And it's not just about legal, because for data privacy, we also look at the cyber aspect of it, like what Steve is doing, right? The cybersecurity part of it. So that is also something to help us, go beyond our comfort zone to learn something a bit different, something more technical. And learning to me is a very crucial thing, the continuous learning, what's the next thing to learn, is something that pushed me on a day-to-day basis.
So here is where I see some common trends between in-house and private practice in terms of the economy and the state of technology, right? Because in the last 5 to 8 years, you see technology coming in. Maybe more than 5 years ago, the sexy in-house jobs were about, say, banking, corporate, M&A, and all that. But I think in the last several years, we see a pivot towards tech, AI, privacy. I would be interested to hear from Lyn's perspective, how has that translated into difficulties in terms of recruitment?
I think it's great that you all brought up tech and AI because I always think then there's a space and a role for data privacy lawyers, right? It means that if everybody is focused on tech, machine learning, AI, Gen AI, there's so much data that's being collected and being used, then it always raises the question, how do you then protect the data, especially the data of our customers, right? And that's when it comes to, say, the traditional banking lawyers, say consumer banking lawyers, corporate banking lawyers, they also need to put on the data hats, especially when they advise. So Steve, I'm curious about your 3-year in-house role. What made you decide to go to an in-house role? And then what made you decide to go back to practice?
So I think at that point in time, there's this notion of after about 4 or 5 years of practice lawyers start being itchy, trying to figure out what's on the other side of the
extra new pastures.
Yeah, is there something more to private practice, right? So I think I was enticed by the itch. I wanted to perhaps get a reality check on whether us practitioners are distancing ourselves in terms of commercial practicalities and realities with the operational people in private sectors. Another theme that was going on during that time was, private practice, right? We don't see the light of day, your weekends are always taken up. I recall when we started as pupils, now we will call practice rooms, right? The monthly so-called salary or allowance we get is really pittance, right?
Oh yeah.
But I still
I remember that.
But I still saved a lot from that because I never ever got a weekend to myself to spend, right? So one of those themes running around at that point in time is, in-house role, I think it frees up more time. And then maybe we'll talk about that in a while, right? From your own experience. So there were so many of these things that were weighing on my mind. So obviously I jumped into an in-house role, specializing though in technology, and I was doing well. There was even a point in time when the CEO of that company that I was in wanted to pivot me out of even a legal role. He run eventually.
Yeah, opportunity.
But that got me thinking, because at that point in time, for us, we worked so hard for so many years in trying to get our law degree, and perhaps for those with masters then getting a master's. So that really got me thinking about, is this really what I want, or do I want to really leave the law for good? But I think I intrinsically love the law. And so after 3 years, I decided that, I never thought that I would go back, but I decided that, I think I want to go back, specializing in tech, and therefore I landed in Rajah Tann from then onwards.
Okay, so sounds like it's a really interesting career path for you. And how about you, Michael? Why did you choose to go into an in-house role in the first place?
Okay, I want to piggyback on what Steve mentioned just now, like going in-house, you get more flexible timing, 9 to 5. That is wrong.
I agree.
That is wrong. That's not true. Yeah, the thing is, that was the reason why I went in-house. But then later I realized that it's not true, because you see, when you're in-house, your main role is to support the business team. And then the business team, they sometimes come to you at the 11th hour. And the show must go on. No matter what, it has to go on. So even though it comes at the 11th hour, you have to finish it by the 12th hour.
What's your bugbear when you engage private practitioners, right? Because every private practitioner is different, right? Each with their specialty, each with their own style of advising. But by and large, I guess you can fit most into 2 or 3 categories, right? One would be those very academic ones where, they are perhaps a bit loath to put their neck on the line and take some commercial risk. And others who really understand the law, but are willing to think very commercially and to posit a position that you can take, but of course, sharing with you the risk. And then, of course, there's a third category, which are the mavericks, right? Where you're not sure whether they really know the law, but because they charge very low, therefore you decide, let's just go with them. And ultimately, if something goes wrong,
so the
just
quick category is out for me.
Yeah. but sadly enough, it appears that for the enlightened ones like you, that's fantastic for private practitioners who really are specialized and who want to do things the right way, but commercially. Because there are many, private sector organizations out there where they just look at, which lawyer will charge the lowest, and that's it, right? And of course, then you're not sure whether that advice is even correct, that sort of thing.
So I actually have a commercial view around this, right? So as I communicate a lot to my businesses, we always think about this what I call a triangular structure where you have quality, you have speed, and you have pricing, right? So I have already told my business I will never sacrifice quality. It's always something that I'm really particular about when I go out to external counsels. Then it's about speed and pricing, right? So if you want speed, then you pay for the best lawyers to churn it, the advice you need or the documentation you need ASAP. But if you're willing to say, in a way, let go a little bit on the speed and you're willing to wait for in-house lawyers to apply their minds with, that's also the other possibility as well. But because in-house lawyers, they actually cover a wide range of different topics. And sometimes I need to make the hard decision that certain types of work would need to go to external counsels, definitely simply because it's more cost efficient to do so. So Michael, I understand I'll be seeing you at the Legal Congress. What would you be talking about?
So okay, we'll be talking about data breach, right? So we will try to be a bit more practical. So we want the takeaway to be something that the audience can bring home, to see the different perspectives. So we have very senior lawyers on our panel, right? And coming from different sectors. Because data practice is there's no one solution for all data practice. So everyone has a unique taste of it. So with all these experts coming from different angle, I think we can have very good insights about what's going on, what we need to take note of. That's why we always need lawyers. We need the whole company, all hands on deck to solve the thing. So that's something that we want to hear from the experts, like Lyn, from Steve, to understand how we can work this together in a very practical sense.
I think our session is going to be different in the sense of, obviously across many different conferences, sometimes they do talk about there could be one session of data incidents. Oftentimes, I think the panelists will perhaps spew more about the academic side of things, right? What the law says, when is the trigger, what's the definition of a data breach, when is the notification threshold crossed, that sort of thing. So, we've discussed in our session, it will be different in that we're going to simulate a data incident as it happens, and we'll walk the audience through the various phases of dealing with an incident, right? I think each of us brings very specific aspects and elements of dealing with data incident from our own experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was great meeting you, Michael. Yes, finally got to put the face to the name, and I'll definitely love, to catch up again during the conference. And thanks so much, Steve, for inviting us to do this as well.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for agreeing to be part of this panel session. I believe with your vast experience and having been embedded in your organization, you will certainly bring a lot of insights into for this particular panel session.
Yeah. It'll be a fun session.
I think we always want it to be fun. Yeah.